Hello, so this is Onshape. This is a 3D modeling software that's kind of on the internet. Nice thing is it is Chromebook compatible, so we can all use it no matter what computer you're on, where you are. I am recording these videos because I do understand that it will not run at the same time as a Google Meet, or at least not as smoothly as I would like. Also with the video, please do not watch my videos like Netflix. They are not binge watch worthy. However, if you watch a part, pause the video, do that one thing I did, and proceed in that fashion, you should be able to get through the whole tutorial here. So this is kind of the product you're going to be making. Yours will not say Levine. Yours will say your name. So this is going to be sort of step-by-step to get to this point, and to get there, you're going to get sort of introduced to a few tools that aren't even like the basic tools that are just part of like the tutorial mode. These are really the tools you can just kind of use to make a lot of different things. And they might, for some of the upcoming projects, they might be the only tools you actually end up using anyways. So here we go. So if I look at sort of an empty screen, after you've made your Onshape account, you're going to come in and you'll have pretty much nothing. We are going to, in the upper left-hand corner, you should have a create button, and then you can create a document. So this is like DDP demo. Let's see. So DDP demo, I'm going to create it. And now I have an empty void vacuum. Nothing is in it. And I've got these kind of clear see-through surfaces. And I've got this cube off to the right here. This intersection of planes is just for us to start with. After we get started, we're not necessarily going to use them again. We can, but we don't have to. But to get started, we kind of do, because we're looking at absolutely nothing and we need sort of a surface to start drawing on. So we're going to use these in a moment. Over here, we have the navigation cube. And with the navigation cube, if you left click and drag, you end up moving it. If you right click and drag, you end up rotating it. If you want to just make small adjustments to your view, you can click on any of these little arrows. And let's say if you right click and drag and you're like, where am I? You can just click on corners, and those corners will just snap you to that view, or any of the faces. So let me just get back to the point that I was looking at when I started, about here. So there's top right front. So looking at this object that I'm drawing, I'm going to try to keep it this way for me getting started. So the way I'm going to start this is I'm going to come off of the right plane. So this is back to my empty document. So I'm going to create a sketch. Now they call it a sketch, but this isn't you free drawing anything. So it's just a two-dimensional shape that we can then create 3D from. So I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to hover. I haven't clicked yet. I'm going to hover over that box where it says right, and make sure it's got kind of a gold border to it, and I can click on that. And now you can see, so sketch one is actually directly on top of that piece of kind of invisible paper. So sketch one is on top of that, but I don't want to work at this angle because it's very awkward for me to see what I'm drawing. So I'm going to click on the right part of this navigation cube. So I'm looking straight at that surface. Now I'm going to use the line tool. If you notice, the tools have changed to two-dimensional stuff. So I'm going to use the line tool to start with, and the reason I'm calling this a sketch is I'm just going to kind of rough out the approximate lengths. So if I click, I'll just start right there in the middle. That is 0, 0, 0, and the 0x, 0y, 0z. So I'll click and drag. Now, if you see on the bottom, you've got that little line that shows up. If I'm not kind of going in a specific direction, it goes away. That's called a constraint, and what that's going to mean is the computer will kind of keep that as a rule in its rule book for this shape. So this line should always be level. Even if I do other things, do other lines, it's going to try to keep this line level. So I'm going to draw it about 1.5. Exact dimensions will come later. So about 1.5, then I'll go maybe about 1/4 of an inch. Then I'll just come way up here, click on there, And you can see there's another constraint because it's showing me it's like vertical right above where I started. But I don't actually want to do it right there. So I'm actually going to move off of that. And then I'm going to click here, go over there. Now it's showing me two constraints. So I'm horizontal, that's that first dash, and I am vertical above my starting location. So I can click there. Then I can go back down and click back on the starting position. It is important that you see how it went gray. That is the computer showing you that you have made a full and complete shape. If you don't make a full and complete shape, it doesn't work for the next steps because it doesn't exist like as a closed shape. So I made this roughly the size that I want to, but let's dial it in to be the exact size that I want it to be. So up here, it says dimension. And this isn't going to be like a showcase of this is what the dimension is. You're trying to make it. This is right now, I'm going to tell it how big I want this. So again, the dimensioning is right here. So I can click on the vertical line. I'm going to go over, and I said 1.5. So you can see it's going to tweak as I go through. It's going to tweak those. And then I want these gaps here, 0.25, and here, 0.25. So I want those shapes, or sorry, those lines to be those lengths. Now, if I try to dimension this, and I'm like, you know what, I want it all to be like that, and I'm going to tell, I want this to be 5 inches, which is kind of ridiculous. It's going to yell at me because all of those constraints that I did before cannot exist. I can't follow all the rules at the same time. This is sort of like telling you to touch one side of the classroom and the other side of the classroom and not break your arm. So that can't be done. So it's just saying, yeah, we can't do that. Could not be solved. So it's just not even going to do it. And I'll just delete it because I don't like seeing all the red lines there. Okay. So that is now the size I wanted, the shape I wanted, and the dimensions are in. Right here, I haven't changed this yet. I haven't touched this at all. It's just going to sit there. If I did want to leave the constraints on, I could do that so I can see the rules that exist for this shape. I don't usually like it on because there's just too much going on. I can tweak it on if I'm trying to figure out something later on, but I'm not going to leave that on by default. So once I am done, I'm going to hit the green check. And now it's just like, this hasn't done anything, but our menu has changed. Now all the tools that are here are 3-dimensional tools. So I need to rotate this into a different view. I just clicked on the corner there so I can see this from a different angle because I couldn't really see if I was going to make this 3D. I was looking flat at the side. So now that I can see in 3D, I'm going to use the next tool over, which is Extrude. And what Extrude is going to do is it can pull a 2-dimensional shape sort of in a length and make it a 3D object. So if I select this surface, now it's got a length, and I can kind of drag it by hand if I want to, but we have the power to be exact here. So I'm going to, for the depth, just put 5. So now that it's 5, that seems like a good size. I can just hit the green check again, and now I've got sort of a blank name plate thing. So I want to put my name on the face here. So I'm going to make another sketch. And this concept of making an object, putting a sketch on it, making another object, putting another sketch on it. This is actually something that you can do for just a lot of like basic, very cube-like shapes. Obviously you can't, well, not obviously, but like it is not easy or nice to put a sketch on a curved surface. There's a lot of problems with that, even in the best of programs. So here it says sketch. I'm going to click on sketch. So I've got sketch 2. And now I can actually click on an object. Before I was sitting in a void of nothingness, and now I have this nameplate. So in all of the nothingness, I have a nameplate. And I can click my sketch on to the nameplate. And you can see it's kind of angled back a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of rotate myself so I can see kind of more flat to that surface. Again, now that I've gone into a sketch, my tools have changed. So I can go to text. I'm going to go on the surface, and I can put text. It doesn't really live show on there. So like once it's good here, you can hit the checkbox. It'll show up. Now, if the text is too big, you can resize this. Nope, it's not letting me do that. Obey me. Okay, well, I have a backup plan. All right, so let's see if there's any constraints to it. Nope. Okay. We'll be right back. Okay, so here's the way we're going to make this happen. I'm still in my 2D drawing. I didn't really go anywhere. But I'm going to just, because I want this smaller, and if there's a better way, if someone could put it in the comments if I post this on YouTube, I'm just going to hit, dimension. And I'm just going to dimension that to be like 4 real quick. And then I'm going to hit escape to get out of dimensioning, click on the number, and then delete it. So if you end up making yours smaller, you won't have that problem. But because of the problem that I had there, so I want it to fit in here. You can't drag it by the letters. You can only drag it by the border. So now to get this into a nice centered location, I'm going to use dimensions again. And I'm going to use a different method of dimensioning. And this method of dimensioning is by clicking on one line and then the other side of the thing you're trying to dimension to. And now I can change this to 0.25 to go. I want this distance to be 0.25. And the nice thing is it will resize my letters accordingly. And then from here to here, I want it down just a little bit, so I'll go 0.3 maybe. That's nice. That's okay. I like that. So with that set up like that, I'm okay with where that is. I'm still in my sketch, so I'm going to say okay. Now I'm out of my sketch. So I've just got the text sitting on the surface. So this text doesn't actually exist in the real world. It's just sort of it has no physical presence because it has no third dimension. But I can give it a third dimension because I can go to extrude and I can select my letters and it's going to pop them out an inch, but I only want it to come out a little bit, so I'll change that to 0.1. I can hit enter, I can hit check, and now I've got, so the letters are where I want them. Now let's say I needed to change something in the text. I can right click on extrude, which is what that, extrude to, which is what that is, and I can edit sketch to, which is what I started with. And now I have my sketch visible again. Now, something that happened to one of my students the other day was the text was facing the wrong way. And the way you can rotate text or move is something you can do by just dragging it, but rotate isn't. So if I want to rotate this, up on the top here, there's a drop down here. By default, it starts out like that with the grid. But if I go down to transform, then it'll let me rotate. So that I can pick this by the border, and it'll give me the option to do the rotation. It's not going to really, I guess it kind of does. Let me do it, but it's probably going to yell at me. No, weird. Anyways, so that's how you can rotate stuff if you need to rotate it. But on this, it did work out where I didn't have to. And then once you're done editing the sketch, you can hit the green checkbox, and it'll come all back to the 3D view. So this is, if you're one of my students, this is what you're submitting to me. Just a picture of this to show me that you got into Onshape and you can make the 3D models. Just sort of a basic walkthrough 3D model. All right. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.